Okay, so now we're going to take an image and add in a cloud overlay. So I've selected this image here because the background in the sky is completely blown out. As you can see, it's completely white. And although it doesn't look completely bad on this image, I think it'd be more dynamic if we added in some cloud or some sky in there. One thing to take into consideration when you're wanting to add a sky is the direction of light. So obviously I put the sun behind him to take this image. So the sun is back here behind him. So when I pick an image of clouds or sky, I don't want to pick an image that shows the sun over here when it's obvious based on this halo he has right here and on his shoulders and the lights in the trees that the light is coming from this direction. I also don't want to pick clouds that the sun is directly aimed at, because then that would also contradict, and the brain just doesn't, you can look at the image and say something's just not right. It's nice, but something's just not right, and it's because the direction of light and common sense is telling you it's not right. So we're going to start with this image here. And we're going to go up and first thing I'm going to do is I sent out to you guys some cloud overlays. So we're going to go over here to File, and I'm using a Mac. Oops. I'm using a Mac, so mine's a little different, but we're going to open New, and mine's already on that folder, but it's the cloud overlays folder, and it gives you all different skies and overlays that we want to look at here and select from. So these are the clouds that the sun is directly above or maybe directed at. Really blue skies, they're very nice, but probably won't work for the situation that we're in, considering the light is low and it's behind him this direction here. So we're going to skip all these here because they're just not going to work for what we need. And I'm going to go down a little ways, and then you'll start to see some more sunset clouds. The sun is really low in this one here, and we are working with a vertical image. So we have this one here, which might work, although that's like right at sunset, and we're not quite there in this image. So probably not there. These are really pink, and I don't really want that pink, and these are after sunset, so these are right at dusk. So I think I'm going to go with this one here, and that's the reason because the sun is still up in it. It's got a good amount. It is not vertical, but that's okay. I'll show you how I'm going to use that to my advantage. So double click there. And here's the cloud image, and so the sun's not all the way down. It's a cloudy day. It looks like maybe some storms have rolled through, whatnot, but I'm not going to use the entire image. I just need some clouds to add in there, and really it's going to be quite dark anyway, or quite light anyway in the image, just enough to give a hint of a background. So I'm going to select that, Control C to copy, come back over to my image, and Control V to paste. He says, are you sure you want to convert these colors because they are in a different palette? And I say, yes, I am sure. So now I have my clouds here. And you can see I don't need the whole thing. And I'm actually just going to stretch it out here. And it's hard to see past him to kind of get an idea of where I want my cloud coverage to be, and how much or how little. So I'm going to come over here on the right side, and I'm going to change my opacity to really low, just enough where I can see both, so I can see through the cloud image, and then I can get an idea of how much cloud is in there, how much I want to actually see, how much I want to put in there over the trees and whatnot. I can stretch it out even more, come this way with it. That's good. So I got a pretty good tree line on the left side of my image here, so I don't need to go all the way over. It'll be fine. And I didn't go all the way. You can kind of see here all these clouds here. I don't really need all of that. I don't want too much going on because I don't want it to look too fake. I just need something in the sky to kind of feel to feel natural and to fill the white space so it doesn't look so blown out. I'm going to go ahead and bump that opacity all the way back up and hit the check mark because that's where I want my cloud overlay. Okay, so obviously this is not how we want our image because it covers his face and it covers half of our image and it makes zero sense. So I'm going to come over here to my layers tab here, which is the most important thing to have up right now is layers. We're working with layers and trying to layer them properly. This drop down box right here gives you how you want to blend these two layers. And you can just kind of play with them, different things, and now you can see his face is now popping through with that one. We've got some things there. Some of them, whoa, that's not going to work. You know, so you got different things that may or may not work. Let's change the opacity because I'm not even going to keep it at full opacity when I'm done with the image because I don't need it bright and bold. So I think I'm going to go with multiply and about a 46, we'll say 50, just to be on even. We're 50% opacity and we'll just go with that from there. Now I need to be able to erase some of this over so I'm not having sharp lines across his face. I don't have any clouds going through his face, anything like that. I need to be able to go through and brush that out, but still keeping this and keeping it natural. We've got a good blend here between the trees and the clouds, and we want to keep that. So I'm going to make this a mask. So again, back over here in my layers area, I'm going to make sure that I'm layered, or clicked on my layer 1, which is my clouds. I'm going to go down to this button here that's a box that looks like it has a hole cut in it, and click on that. And that makes that layer into a mask. And now we can grab a brush over here and start brushing out what we don't need of this layer. And because my mask over here on the right is white, I use a black brush to subtract from that mask. If you right click, you can change your brush size and your brush harshness. I'm going to kind of keep it a little hard just so I can have good control over edges. And that's about a good size for me to work with right now. So my opacity is at 100%. So I'm just going to start brushing that out. Almost like you're painting. Starting with these harsh edges. Going up into the tree. And definitely into his face. There's his face. All normal again. Make sure that you get her face. And you can see over here back over here on the mask, you can see the black start to show up on that white, and that kind of gives you an idea of where you have. Because there's been times when I'm like brushing, and I don't see a spot that I'm like, oh, like right up in here. Those clouds look a little too prominent within those trees, and that doesn't look natural. So you can kind of see over here and kind of compare like where you may need to go in and brush just a little bit more to keep it looking natural. Now, up here, I'm not 100%, it looks like there's like a twig coming out of his head, but that's neither here nor there, but when it comes to the clouds, but we're going to change that when we're all done. There's also a cloud that's tucked behind this tree right here that I don't really need, and if I brush it all the way out, then I get this whiteness in contrast with that peachy sky, and that doesn't really work for me either. So I'm going to hit X and change my brush to a white brush and add it back in. Clean it up again with the black brush, and I'm just using X to switch back and forth, you see? Okay. I'm going to go up here and change my opacity on my brush to about 30-ish. And then I'm going to start brushing out that cloud that's behind that tree really lightly. And then just kind of brush it back in just really lightly and just kind of give it a little bit of opacity in there. And that gives it a better, just a better blend. By changing the opacity up here, you can just do a little bit better blending. I think that this is all really great, but the sky is really in focus. And I don't really need all that. So I'm going to again take my opacity down even more on that layer. And because I don't need it to be really prominent. I don't need it to show that I don't want it to be too dramatic. I just want it to be there so that it doesn't look completely blown out and the image continues to look really light. Oops. Okay, so I've got my sky pretty much where I want it to look. I'm gonna do X and kind of blend that back in there a little bit. Okay. Oops, I am completely drawing with the wrong thing. Did you see how I'm on my background, so when I'm coloring, I'm not even on I'm not even on my where I need to be. I'm going to go back up here because I was coloring on the background, and when I do that, I'm actually just coloring black and white, and that's not what I want. So you got to make sure that you're on your mask over here. So my mistake is your lesson. There you go. But again, back on my opacity of 33, that's up here, and I'm brushing, and I'm blending. I don't see there's some lines in here from these clouds I don't really need, and I feel like they're just a little too much for the image, so that works for me right there. Make sure everything is clear off his face, which I think it is. There might be some down here that I need to clear out. I don't see anything in there that looks to be overlapping her face or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm good with my clouds now. I'm going to go ahead and flatten my image, and you can come over here and right click and then flatten image is one way to do it. And then I gotta get rid of this because I don't like this. It looks like something's growing out of his head. It doesn't really work for me. I got about 3 minutes to get it done. The easiest way to do a lot of this, though, is to grab this patch or this healing brush, circle it, drag it, get rid of it. You're gonna want to go down as far as you can to his hairline to get rid of as much as possible. And you can see there that there's still some smudging, so now I'm going to grab my clone brush and keep it soft. Yeah, keep it soft. Here we go. I'm going to grab real close in here, and I'm just going to brush that away. So I use my Alt button to grab what I want to use to fill it in with, and then I just brush. And you can see my target when I'm brushing. You can see the target show up, the little plus sign show up. That's the target. And if I go back out here, and now it's gone. And I think that looks a lot better, and it looks a lot more natural. So I have a little bit of sky in there now. There's nothing growing out of his head. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I can go back over to, and I'll show you, if I go back over into Lightroom, and see I have my sky in there. If I add a little bit of vignetting in there, it really pops that sky out behind him a lot better, and it doesn't look blown out from there. So then I can make all the necessary changes that I want from here, but now I have my sky in there, and it looks good, and it was easy. Things are beautiful. Everybody's happy. And it's fantastic. There we go. Perfect.